Video I'm going to talk about today is how there is no free ride. My last couple of videos I talked about how, people think that having a belief by itself has no consequences and that none of their actions have consequences because, we live in a world where people are trained to believe that they can do whatever they want and there's no consequences to their actions. Now, this is the guy, Cali Muscle. I've been following his channel since I was a freshman in high school, since 2008. When he first came on the YouTube scene, he was 230 pounds, but he could do pull-ups, muscle-ups, and he was big and jacked, more so than he is right now, because he was on that sauce. And he became notorious because for something like 15, 20 years, he denied that he was on anything. He used to claim that he was natural. And I gained a lot of respect for this guy over the last 2 years because, he fully came out with what he was doing and he fully took responsibility for his actions and he's fully acknowledging the consequences now and is warning people and telling people, there is no free ride in this game. Every action that you take, every decision that you make has consequences that sometimes aren't so easily apparent. And yeah, let's talk about it.
Why my mental health is declining. Since November 2021, I had my heart attack. Never in my life would I imagine that I would go through a health scare. All my life I was focused on trying to prevent any health scares or any things with my heart or body, or I was always fearful of cancer. I didn't know that eating the stuff that I was eating would have caused me to have a health problem. I thought I was on top of the world.
What basically caused this heart attack was a combination of eating really shitty food and taking performance enhancing steroids. Because in the modern era, people have been tricked into thinking that they constantly need to be on medicine, that you gotta be on TRT, you gotta basically be a drug addict in order to survive. And what Cali Muscle said he was taking, if he's telling the truth, he wasn't taking many drugs and he was going off cycle. But this is part of the deception. They try to teach you that if you do drugs correctly, there's no negative consequences. There's always consequences. For every positive that a drug is giving you, there's a negative. And sometimes these negatives are not visibly apparent until later on in your life. Combine that with the fact that in most of his videos, he was encouraging people to eat garbage like top ramen and tuna and shit, because that's what he was eating in prison. But for those of y'all that are free and live in the real world, white rice is cheaper than top ramen. You can get the same amount of calories on a budget eating way healthier foods. And I'm glad that he's acknowledging what happened now, because like for 20 years straight, this dude, 230 to 260 pounds of muscle, saying he was natural. I'm glad he's finally saying what really happened to him. And I don't want to make this video long, so we're going to actually speed it up a bit.
I had a heart attack.
Got a stent put in my heart. My whole life changed. I automatically knew that I would no longer be able to bodybuild at that moment, which that was my passion. That was my love since I was a kid.
I've been at it 25 years. You hear?
And see, this is part of the trap, right? I ain't no fucking bodybuilder. I flex a lot, but my main goals, I want to be able to go whenever, rather it be running, fighting, wrestling, whatever. So I like to stay lean, man. I like to stay lean. I'm about 170 right now. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to get my mile back down to 434. And, I like being in shape, right? I've never desired to be a bodybuilder because having too much muscle is the equivalent of having too much fat. That's why your body has natural limitations in the first place. That's why without performance enhancing drugs, there's only so far your performance is going to go. I was looking at the nationals for high school track and field yesterday, and it was, my fastest mile was a 4:34, and there's underclassmen girls that are faster than that, 9th and 10th graders that are faster than that. And somebody asked on Instagram, why are these kids so fast now? And somebody commented, because the science has improved. We all know what science they're talking about. Now, I'm not judging, because these people, they worship the sports that they play. Cali Muscle was a bodybuilder. Look at him. That's when he was on the sauce. There's a noticeable difference. And a lot of these people, yes, they start taking drugs. I mean, everybody knows people start taking drugs when they're teenagers. Everybody knows this. That's when people start smoking weed. That's when people start doing alcohol when they're teenagers. Only very naive people think people are waiting until adulthood to do drugs. That also applies with steroids. A lot of these kids, they want to be in the Olympics someday. And their parents and their coaches, they basically tell them at a young age, like, listen, man, this is what Olympians do. And it's actually easier to juice in high school because you don't get drug tested. So, and, the girls that are running, because like people that don't run track, they don't understand how fast a female, right? A 9th, 10th grade girl running faster than a 4:34 mile. That is ridiculously fast. Granted, this was nationals, right? Well, why am I bringing this up, right? When you're a little kid, you don't fully grasp the consequences of your actions. Now, understand, Cali Muscle was not a kid when he started taking drugs, but it really does take a while for you to fully understand exactly what these people are doing to their bodies. Now, I'm not judging. They really sacrifice their health and their bodies to entertain. They worship their surrogate activity. But this video that I'm making, bouncing off of Cali Muscle's video, is to show you guys, man, there is no free ride. Everything you do has consequences.
I knew that I wasn't invincible at that point. I knew that, I wasn't.
And that's another thing right there. A lot of people that think that the laws of the universe, that the laws of nature don't apply to themselves, they think they're invincible. And then the universe shows them the hard way, no, you're not invincible.
From another planet, like I used to say. So that started the road of, which I never termed it as that, depression. I was like, how am I gonna continue making money? I'm doing this YouTube fitness thing. People assumed that I used to say I was natural. Now this is gonna hurt me.
Just tell them you're on illegal narcotics all over social media. This is the dumbest generation I ever know.
He's not wrong. This is the dumbest generation that you've ever known. Because, yeah, it is. It's fucking stupid to go on the internet and admit to illegal activity. It's fucking stupid to go on the internet and admit that you're doing something against the laws. He's not wrong about that. Because anybody that cannot observe these athletes, and if you're unable to tell that all of these guys are on something, then you've got bigger problems to worry about. It's just one of those things that doesn't really need to be said because it's obvious, right? Those of us that played sports as a teenager, we knew the people that were juicing. We knew the people breaking the fucking records in high school. We already knew what was going on. And like, a lot of these people, they look like adults, right? When I went to the fucking state championships a couple of months ago to watch that meet, the girls that won the mile then, they were freshmen, but they looked like grown fucking women. But then when it was said that they're fucking freshmen, I'm like, whoa, wait, but you know, and hopefully they don't see this video and try to sue me for defamation of character. But I didn't say, which, mile, was one, right? Because there were 4 miles ran that day. So, but it doesn't need to be said, because if you have eyes, you have a brain. When you see that's not how kids look, when you see the adults and you see that's not how human beings naturally look, you know what's going on. So it's stupid, but everybody wants to go on the internet and brag about illegal activities for clout. It's fucking stupid,
Business, my supplement company, how is it going to prosper from this point on? I had a lot of whys. This is it. Damn, hypey hard, man. After the heart attack, I got put on these medications that I used to see 60, 70-year-old people taking. Now I was only 46, having to take all this medication. Would my friends and family think less of me? Would the internet think less of me?
That's the fucking rabbit hole, man. When you worry about what other people think of you, you do things to artificially, in your mind, boost your image. Versus when you don't give a shit about what people think about you, you just do whatever you want. And you only worry about how you see yourself in the mirror. You know what I'm saying? I'll never care if somebody says I don't look like a bodybuilder, because my primary goal is performance. I want to be able to go anytime I need to go. I want to be able to adapt and survive any situation that's thrown at me. And if you're walking around with 60 pounds of extra useless muscle, that kind of I'm feeling it right now, man. When I ran a 434, I was 125 pounds. I'm 175 right now. I'm 50 pounds heavier, and I'm feeling the effects it has on running. But I'm going to just adapt. No big deal.
I knew that I was going to have to drop down, and I didn't have a problem with dropping weight, but I just didn't want to tarnish or damage my image. My name is Kali Muscle. My meals down at that point to like 2 meals a day. Still working out. I still had good energy at the time.
It even became his identity, because his birth name is Kirkendall, but he changed it to Kali Muscle because this muscle bodybuilding shit, he worshipped it, right? He worshipped this surrogate activity.
As time goes on, anytime I felt something, like on my left side, I was scared. And this is a daily occurrence even to this day. Thinking I feel something, if it's gas. If I don't eat, I get gassy. So it goes straight to the left side. And I'm like, oh man, what's going on? And I might have a little anxiety attack sometimes. Things like driving are scary for me. What if I, have a heart attack while I'm driving, and what I'm gonna do?
And see, man, it's honestly really sad. He's 46 years old now, and he almost had to die before he started to really think about these things. He almost had to die before he really started to get it. But by 46, it's too late, and this is what the fuck I mean, man. Most people think the laws of the universe don't apply to them, so they walk around life delusional until they almost die, and that's when they suddenly want to start giving a fuck. But by then, it's usually too late, man. Life is a one-shot deal. You got to get it right, or that's your life wasted, So
as I'm driving, this is a thought, which is, taxing. Growing up, I was a small kid. I was like 90 pounds, and I could show you this picture of me playing football. I was like 90 pounds in 9th grade, so they didn't let me play. And so that started my infatuation with wanting to get buff. It was those coaches in 9th grade telling me I was too small. So from then on, I was like...
Yeah, because that's litigation. If a coach lets a 90-pound child play football and something happens to that child, they're the ones that are going to get in legal trouble. They're the ones that are going to get the litigation. The school's not going to fucking, the school doesn't give teachers qualified immunity. If a coach or a teacher lets somebody that fucking tiny play a contact sport, they're going to get sued as an individual. So yeah, they didn't let you play, and rightfully so. Unfortunately for you.
Zest with getting big. And so I used to force feed myself, almost regurgitating and That was my mission. So that just went on throughout my whole life. For 3 months, I wasn't on nothing. I wasn't on no testosterone, TRT. I wasn't on pre-workouts, and I was scared to do anything. I went on this 1 meal a day. Luckily for me, it was easy because I wanted to live. So I was like, I'm gonna do whatever I can to live as long as I can.
And again, this is hard to hear, man. I respect him for changing, but it's like, dude, you're 46 years old. Anything you do now in order to live longer, you're just mitigating the irreversible permanent damage you've already caused to your body and your health and yourself, man. You should have been thinking about, when they said that you're too small to play football, instead of becoming obsessed with proving them wrong, and I know all about this, right? People became obsessed with proving me wrong instead of just admitting that the facts that I presented is accurate, right? But when you become obsessed with, when you worship, it puts you in an unnatural state of mind. When you worship your surrogate activity, it makes you take drugs that will destroy your health. When you worship trying to prove people wrong, it puts you on this rabbit hole cycle of destruction. Because he wanted to prove those coaches wrong, he started taking the drugs that led to lifelong problems in the first place. Imagine if instead he sat down and said, okay, so I'm only 90 pounds. Clearly, I don't weigh that much for a natural reason. So instead of forcing myself to put on extra weight that I don't need, let me design my surrogate activity around what my body composition is naturally. Then he probably never would have had that health scare. But it's hard to say because that health scare is what taught him his lesson. And not everybody survives heart attacks, man. I'm not saying any of this to make fun of the guy, but you really have to get these problems in check at a young age before they become problems in the first place.
I never forget, shout out to Big Boy. He told me right before I had my heart attack that he didn't eat until 5 p.m.
For me to stay leaner and to be down, I gotta watch what I eat.
I was making fun of Big. He was like, I don't eat till 5, 6.
Yeah.
I was like, what? You gotta be nuts, right?
Yeah.
And now I've been doing it for maybe 2 months, Miles. I don't eat. I haven't ate yet. I don't eat down to 5, 6.
Yeah, I haven't ate.
And I remember Big just telling me and y'all gotta think, I've been doing this 35 years and I still learn. And I'm still learning. Big was like, I get this aggression. Yeah. I'm on edge. So I was like, yeah, okay. I couldn't see not eating that low. And I thought he was crazy, but I'm like, if this guy, this muscular, big, strong, energetic, can do this, I know I can do it. But it wasn't until I had the heart attack that I was like, I'm gonna try what Big Boy do. At 19, I went to prison, and I was eating all the crap food. That's all they have in prison.
As a former correctional officer, I can confirm that this is true. I don't understand how inmates can eat some of the shit that they ate in prison. It was because I supervised the dietary inmates, so I saw the food that they were making. I saw the food that they were giving the other inmates to eat. It's really crappy. If you don't like eating shitty food, don't go to prison.
Because I contributed my health problem to a lot of Top Ramen, saturated foods. I was eating honey buns, Top Ramen, Snickers. I'm talking about 4 or 5 Top Ramens a day with the seasoning packs. I didn't know about sodium. A lot of people naive to sodium. As we all know, heart disease is the #1 killer in the U.S. This goes out to all the young people in the world, man. Don't get fat. Don't get over muscular. Stay lean, mean. If you get too big, you'll have skin issues like me. I got skin issues right here that I hate. See this skin?
Michael Hearn said it best. Do steroids work? Just got a text message. Michael Hearn said it best. Do steroids work? Yes. Do they work for 50 years? Probably not. And none of these guys stop to think. The ones that take steroids to get bigger, this doesn't apply to track athletes and cyclers who want to take the drugs to stay small but to get faster, right? These guys never stop to think, okay, I'm 260 pounds. At some point, the steroids are going to stop working. At some point, I'm going to get older. So what's going to happen to my skin after all my muscle goes away? These are just the thing, but it's called Somebody typed a comment where he said it. It's called like conceptualization, to where you know there's a growing problem, but you just don't think about it. And that helps you get through your life. And yeah, you can clearly tell this guy never thought it, but most people don't, right? Most people never really truly think about how bad their situation is until it slaps them in the face. That's why I preach the path of high resistance, man. I preach to people to learn the truth while they're young, while they still have a chance to shape their future. That way they don't end up 46 years old, broken, and they have to basically try to find a way to survive and live the rest of their life in fear. I mean, he said it in the beginning of the video. He lives his life in fear. When he's out driving, am I gonna have a heart? Like, he's afraid. He's got permanent PTSD. And all of this could have been avoided, man, if he just, saw things the way they are at a younger age. And that's why the system is so fucked. Because the system throws this shit at you when you're young, because they know at that age you're not going to have the experience points or the brain power necessarily to see and understand what's really going on. That's why the parent's job is so important, but in modern society, one of the parents has been removed, and the parents themselves don't know anything. So that's why I say, man, the game was designed with impossible difficulty in mind.
And I still have 21-inch arms, but I had 23-inch arms. So you had that skin right there. Let me show you what I hate about my body, man, being too big. So right here, see this skin? You have this. You got that skin right there. Then right here, I hate this. Like when you come like this, see that skin right there? And we ain't gonna even talk about butt cheek. Like when you get, those old man butts, you get that skin down there. But it's just those issues that I'm like, man.
The human body was perfectly designed. As our skin gets bigger, slowly accommodate for slow natural growth. But when you take steroids and or you gain a bunch of muscle and fat too quickly, you're forcing the skin to expand, and it doesn't necessarily retract the way it's supposed to, as if you just lost weight slowly and naturally, man. See, the human body, inside of it, it has everything that you naturally need in order to survive and prosper. But when you start putting unnatural, artificial shit in your body and it causes unnatural changes, there's unnatural consequences as well. There is no free ride, man. I mean, everything that you do has consequences.
I hope it snap back, but I doubt it will. I would have to keep some muscle mass so it won't get all the way droopy. So that's why I'm talking about them. Everybody want to appear that they just good all the time. And they don't want to talk about it because they want to.
Yeah, we live in a society to where people were trained to be opinionated, narcissistic, and stubborn. And yeah, people want to just walk around and act like there's nothing ever wrong, right? Don't let them ever see you sweat, or that stupid shit that all the single mothers say. But in reality, you should let people see you sweat. You should acknowledge your flaws, you should acknowledge your past, you should acknowledge your mistake, and you should embrace what has happened and take what has happened and learn from it and make sure it never happens again. Walking around pretending like you're always good is fucking stupid. You need to acknowledge the problems in your life so that way the problems get resolved. Versus if you walk around like you're always good, you're never going to resolve those problems, and like Cali Muscle learned, it catches up to you. You learned it the hard way. Hopefully he recovers fully, but I have a feeling he never will. So. But shout out to him for finally being honest about his situation, because for 20 plus years he denied it, right?
Human. It's no joke, man. When you see hyphy, when you know the word, be it a hyphy, energetic, non-stop on the go, that's what they are. I always question, like, did I wait too old to have my kids? Or was it the heart attack?
It's really fucked. Because a woman reproduces the healthiest babies when she's between the age of 16 through 25. But from 16 through 25, she's not going to have enough experience points in the game to know how to be a good mother. And a woman can't have children at all past a certain point because of menopause. Now, men, we're lucky in that we can have kids whenever we want. But, you know, if you've got a 15-year-old son and you're a 60-year-old father, he's not going to listen to you because you're not going to be able to go. You're not going to be able to keep up with him in sports anymore. You're not going to be able to keep up with what's going on in the world anymore. He's going to be living in a totally different era than you are. And, you know, so did you wait too long to have kids? I mean, you know, you're 46 right now, your twins are 3. By the time they're teenagers, their world is going to be totally different from yours. And these are the consequences that you have to accept. Now, this can be mitigated if you understand the game, but you can kind of tell he's still learning. So
that brings on depression. So I always try to figure out ways to have the highest energy, like I say. And that's when eating once a day come into question, because I'll be like, do I have enough energy or food in my...
See, he's still trying to figure it out. 40 years of running from your problems, and that leads to you never figuring it out. These are questions that he should have been known, right? Again, I'm not making fun of the guy, but you guys watching this video, man, those of y'all that don't get it, this better be a wake-up call, man. Reality is going to hit you in the face sooner or later, you know, and the longer you run away from your problems, the harder the crash is going to be when it does hit you.
My sister, to keep up with my kids and to do my daily...
My stepfather said he doesn't believe that I make what I make off of it. He didn't tell me this to my face because he's afraid of me, but he told this to my brother, and it's like, you know, if I didn't make what I was making, I couldn't afford to live here, you know, or pay for my Tesla or do anything. But he's given up on life. You know, he's gotten to the point where he feels like there's no way out of his situation. Unfortunately, given what Cali Muscle is saying, it seems like that's the direction he's headed in. But guys, just take this as a lesson, man. You don't got to end up like these people. You can learn the truth at a young age. You can understand that all of your actions have natural consequences from a young age and ensure you never end up in this position in the first place.
Go, you know, days of working, starting businesses, have to work out. So I know a lot of you guys out there may question yourself about that. So we got to do whatever we can to have that max energy. And like I say, for me, I've been getting 6-7 hours of sleep, eating the healthiest I know anybody to eat. It's money. Like, we living in a time where money is needed so much, man. You know, I feel it, especially a guy like me being on the internet, making most of my money from the internet. Because being on the internet...
See, that's why I never went in that direction. Because when your money is directly tied to your social image on the internet, you don't have any freedom. Because at that point, you have to keep doing what gets views. You have to keep doing what gets money, and you can't deviate. When that is your main source of income, you can't deviate from that to do what it is you actually want to do, because when the money gets funny, that's when you start to get problems. And yeah, the current economy that we live in, see, people that aren't in the real world, that are still in college, that don't live on their own, that don't have to pay for anything, they don't understand how bad things are getting, man. I don't talk about money in my videos because I'm trying to be like a show-off or egotistical or arrogant or anything. I talk about money in my videos because a lot of people just don't understand how bad things are getting, man. They thought the Great Depression was bad. This next crash is going to be even worse than that, man. This gig economy shit was not meant to last long term. And, you know, and I'm not going to go into detail about that, because those of y'all that live in the real world, y'all get it. Y'all understand that you need to gather as much resources as possible in order to secure your future nowadays, because a lot of people are getting hit hard, man. You know, COVID had permanent, irreversible damage on the economy, and it's gonna, you know, it's gonna get even worse as time goes on. That's why I'll make it so that my main source of income is never from the internet, because I like having the freedom to tell people the truth and to speak about what nobody else is speaking about. The path of high resistance, natural law. And I already accepted that these types of videos, they'll never make me lots of money. But that's okay. Because the long-term positive consequences of helping people, to me, far outweighs any money I'm going to be losing off YouTube.
Internet, man, it's like a stock. It goes up and down. It's nothing set in stone monthly. So you have to be good with money. You got to know how to work with money. You can't spend money foolish, because you might have, it's been times where I had a terrible 8-9 months. So that's depressing, which I've been able to manage well. A man of my age, I still don't feel I'm at the place where I should be at. So that's what keeps that motivation and grind, and that's what really combats.
And it just makes you wonder. Cali Muscle makes a lot of money off YouTube. So it makes you wonder, why isn't he rich and retired, He's probably made millions off YouTube by now. So it makes you wonder, what the fuck is he spending his money on? He should be at the point in his life where he never needs to work ever again. But, it's just something to think about, man.
Depression. Just think, all of this is on me. Like, I got to take care of my wife, my kids, my business partners. I got to make sure we cool. I got to worry about my health, my heart. I got to it's all these worries and thoughts on every second of the day. You know what I mean? And so I know a lot of you out there have these same problems, and you have these struggles with depression and mental health. Have a focus point. You got to just focus, get a focus point if you got kids, if you got a business you want to start, if you got a look you want to achieve with your physique.
Have a surrogate activity that aligns with natural law.
Go full force at that. Don't let nobody stop you. Whatever makes you happy, you got to do it. Love yourself. That's the key. I love all of you guys. Even, I know I was an ex-evil person. So I know when people are just, led by the devil, led by evil, it's up to you to decide which side you want to be. Like, my reason now is my kids. I want them to be raised by a good father that has his head on straight. They guide them in the right direction so they can be great people.
You can't lead somebody to a place you've never been. If you've never been that type of person, you can't guide your children to that direction. And unfortunately, children understand this. So when children see that there's a place they want to go that their parents can't lead them, that's when they start disobeying their parents, and that's when they start getting influenced by people other than their parents to go in a different direction. So.
And as well, I have you guys. I know you guys are always watching me, always critiquing and judging. I don't want to judge anybody, because I've been there on the bad side. I know how it is. It just takes, awakening to happen. So my awakening is now. I'm fighting this depression thing. Like I say, I have my kids, I have my business partners, I have you guys that we don't have time to be in the corner in the dark, sad, crying, ready to end my life. I got a lot of life to live, and I want to live it, man. I'm doing everything I can, eating healthy, drinking the best water I know of at the moment, and I'm just staying positive, man. I encourage you guys to do the same.
And that's what it's all about, man. Learn the game early, understand the world you live in, understand the universe you live in, understand natural law early, understand the truth early on, so that you're never in a position to where you're fucking 46 years old and depressed. Catch you guys in the next video. Those that get it, get it. Those that don't probably never will. And hopefully this video was informative or at least entertaining.